Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here. Today, as I speak to you, I know behind these doors and walls, there's someone waiting to greet you, and it's not me. It's a 4-letter word called hope, or as we say in Hindi, Asha. It's just waiting outside and seeking your permission to enter your life. You know why? Because that 4-letter word has incredible transformative powers. And how did I discover this? By working with many people, but most particularly with 800 plus girls who live in India, in the backyards of this country, in the slums of these cities. And I can tell you, have traversed through what I would consider the most difficult past, have created an incredible future by doing a very focused job on living in the present. It's a story worth listening to. It's an example worth following, and they are girls who need to be celebrated. It's possible, potentially, to teach hope, to role model hope, but even more importantly, to really see if we can teach our children how to live with hope. And that really was the hypothesis that I went with. I read today morning somewhere, I'm not interested in looking at those things that I will not be able to carry when I die, like prosperity, assets, etc. I'd rather spend my time looking at things like love, like focus, like some things like experience, which will leave a mark on my soul. And I truly today stand here to tell you that hope leaves a mark on your soul. It's worth pursuing. Because I was looking at girls whose mothers are maids, whose fathers are painters, some of them chronic alcoholics, some of them extremely ill. They really struggle with what we use as a very interesting word called deficit. Yeah? Our girls live with deficits that many of us may not be familiar with. Nutritional deficit, a deficit called safety, emotional, physical, economical, psychological, right? I know of a girl whose house I visited, and she said, ma'am, I cannot go to toilet between evening 7 and morning 7 because the toilet is outside the house, has no doors. It actually has just a blue tarpaulin sheet, and men are sitting right there in that slum. So she holds her bladder and everything else for a good 12 hours, something that you and I may not experience. How do you get girls like that to believe that they can work in probably an Infosys Technologies? So it was a discovery that I decided really needed to be done. So that's how I entered the school, started working with girls from 8th grade upwards. And I can tell you this was the COVID era when we were stuck inside our houses and the girls were still trying to learn how to navigate an even more frightening world. We were wondering what kind of mask to buy. My girls were wondering if there was one mask per family. So that's what I was really looking at. And what I discovered in the process is, if you stand with them, give them hope, and tell them you're backing them up, whether there is a mask, whether there's enough water to wash your hands, whether there's enough subjects to make you the greatest person on this earth, if you have somebody in your life who tells you that you are good, that you are capable, that you can walk, that you can talk, that you can own this world and create something for yourself, believe me, the girls actually transformed their lives. Isn't education about creating a future? Isn't every experience something that you want to use to really go towards a future that you can craft and create by your own self and make it bright and beautiful the way you wanted? That's exactly what we wanted for our girls. But even more importantly, that's what our girls wanted for them. Yes, education is the key that unlocks that door. But to enter that door and successfully emerge out into the real world, you really need much more than what you study inside institutions. It's about what you experience at home. It's about what you experience in the society. It's about, do you have adults in life who are like treasure hunters? You know, my professor, Rick Miller, talks about adults becoming treasure hunters in the lives of children, no matter how young, no matter how old. Are you telling them you have these nice things inside you, bring it out. They are worth whatever. And you can make that into your future calling card. Are we telling that to children, or are we limiting them by saying, you can't do this? You don't have it in you. Or are we telling, whatever you have in you is magical, is fantastic. That's what hope really does. Kids who never had the means to their dreams, the minute you provide even some support to go towards it, believe me, you make the dreams possible for themselves. Yeah? And if you really look at each one of their journeys, it's incredible. And I'd like to talk to you about what these journeys really, really look like, right? And one of the things that I have understood is that it's not just about what they do, right? The ecosystem of educationists, parents, adults in life who are positive, engaging, and truly are the people who speak the language of love. By the way, every time we meet our girls, we greet them with, I love you. And I want to tell this audience, I love you. I truly do. I may not know you, but I love you. Is it possible? Yes? Completely possible that I can love you and that you can love me. And we start every lesson for our children, every interaction with our girls with love, unconditional, and a hug that bridges gaps. Because when you're poor and you come from not the most exciting background in life, to have somebody hug you itself is acceptance, is an achievement. Ecosystem is the language you speak, the presence you bring, the inspiration you provide as adults in their lives. Yesterday, as I visited the beautiful Konark temple in your own Orissa, I was told the language of the stone is more powerful than the language of the human being, and that's how they create such amazing monuments. And today, I wish to change it and say the language of the human being can be so much more powerful in not creating monuments, but people who can create monumental achievements, not just for themselves, but for the incredible future. We tested our hypothesis. Our girls are not just going for higher studies. Our girls are going in for employment. One of my girls, who actually has a big struggle at home, worked during evenings, 5:30 to 9:30, went and joined Infosys, sent me a picture from Mysore campus saying, your girl has reached here. And is it because she was the most intelligent, or is it because she went to the best institution? Not at all. It's because she believed she's capable. And she had adults like mentors, her own mother, and including us, standing around her telling her, we love you, go out there and conquer the world. And truly, my friends, this hypothesis for me, after 5 years, is proof enough that we have arrived, that hope has arrived. What do I have to say in conclusion, right? First and foremost, my friends, it doesn't matter what your past is about, yeah? The deficits don't define you. How do you think about the deficits and move ahead actually creates you. I think that is the language, and that's why my theme for today is the past, the present, and the future, reimagining with hope. If each one of our girls could actually move from those incredible difficulties, right? The next child that I'm going to talk about is somebody who's lived with abuse from her beginning till where she is now. So a marriage was an escape route that her mother found for her, saying, if you live here, you are probably not going to see the day of light. So move on, right? So she got married. She had a child. She calls us up from the hospital and she says, ma'am, I just delivered a baby girl, but I'm going to go and write my exam 3 days from now. She didn't give up on her dreams. She's sitting there and saying, I'm going to go after the life that I want to create for myself. What stops me is not what happened to me. What creates me is how I deal with it. Yet another child lost her father when she was in 6th grade, had to drop out of school, start working as a maid along with her mother, and she was actually encouraged by an educationist to come back to school today has started working and calls herself a HR manager, and she says, ma'am, I speak to the CEO of this company. And actually, I feel very confident, even though I'm not as well educated as others, and I don't speak the English that others do. But language is not about proficiency of a certain language. Language is really about the confidence you feel in yourself. So hope is really that. It instills confidence. It tells you you're a worthy person, and that you can move ahead and conquer the world in the way that you choose to do it. And that is the stepping stone to truly connecting the past, which could be difficult, incredibly hard. But my humble submission to all of you here is, there are ways to deal with this, right? Like my girls do. You can choose to live in the past, or you can choose to move ahead. My girls tell you, there's merit in moving ahead. And today is the present. Am I focused? Am I looking at it as one opportunity to create the best possible opening for myself in this universe, which otherwise looks closed? And last but not the least, that future that we keep talking about is actually not in the distant future. It's really tomorrow. In one of the schools that I consult, their vision is our tomorrow is today, which means our tomorrow is going to be shaped by the children we shape today. And how do you do that? You don't look at future as something that happens later in life. You see it as something that's knocking on your door today. If you're sitting there today and saying, I'm knocking on these doors, I'm not worried about what happened in the past. I will look back to take the learnings. I will look back to understand how I have navigated myself. But I will look at the today to say, what can I do? Like all of us, when we run our little races in schools and colleges, it says, get, set, go, right? On your marks, get set, go. And to me, the definition of it is, on your marks is all the marks, the war wounds all of us have in our lives. It could be poverty, it could be abuse. It's about parents who don't really appreciate you. It could be anything, my friends. You have the war wounds. Now, on your marks really means is recognize it. It's there. It's there for everyone, right? Some very difficult, some okay. But our wounds are our wounds. But don't live with those. On your marks, get set for today. Every morning when you wake up, think of what you want to do. Is there enough focus to say, today, I want to accomplish 3 most important things which will move the needle towards the future that I want to create. And tomorrow, by the way, is the future that you have created today. So we neither have the opportunity to complain about the past or to worry about the future. If you adopt this mantra called hope in your life, which our girls have adopted. And you know what are the 3 significant behaviors that they adopt? First is we ask them to set a goal. Every day, set a goal. Today, I want to be able to do this TED Talk really well. That's my goal for today. And yesterday was about preparing for it, right? Tomorrow, hopefully, if you all appreciate, would be about celebrating it. And every day is like that. Do I have a goal focused on what I have to do today? And my past could have had some worries, could have had some anxieties, could have led to some failures, but am I willing to learn from it and move on? Tomorrow is a bright new day for me, the children that I wish to support, the children who actually enable me to stand here and speak to you. In conclusion, I'd like to say, and I know this is again a quote, and I'm not quoting it fully, but a stone doesn't realize what beautiful statue or monument sits inside it. It's only the craft person who's chiseling away who actually sees what is inside the stone. I'm inspired by what I saw in Orissa. I'm inspired by what I see in my girls. They may not even recognize their own capabilities and what they're capable of moving forward. But we can recognize it if we truly turn into treasure hunters who are looking at the treasures inside each child and look at each child as a treasure in herself and himself and tell them, you are there to change the world. That's why you come into the world. So my dear friends, I'd like to conclude by saying, Hope is not a four-letter word. It's a human who has had the opportunity to grow into an adult. We owe it to the children who are young, small, disabled, who live in poverty. We are the people who represent hope for them. We are the ones to tell them, we love you, no matter what. We certainly are here to support you and carry you forward. But you know what? We are here to celebrate as you fall and you get up. As you fall and you get up, because every fall is an experience to learn from, and every rising is the promise of tomorrow. I hope with this, you're ready to adopt hope as a mantra, whether you're a parent, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a faculty member, and like my girls do, come back. They teach our girls, they mentor our girls, they provide funds, they do all of these things simply because they want to create an equal opportunity for other children in this universe. Are you ready to create an equal world full of hope for everyone, no matter what circumstances life threw them at? That is the calling, I think, for every human being. It's not your past, it's not your present, it's not your future. It's about what you can do with what you have and create that incredible future, not just for yourself, but also for, I think, many, many people around us. That's the lesson of hope. That's the joy of today. Thank you very, very much.